Hi, folks. Welcome to another edition of From the Stretch. It's episode number 12 for Monday, December 16th, 2024. And I am, of course, your host and moderator of this event here, Jason DeCanio, welcoming you as well to another week of current events. Today, on the 16th of December, well, we're going to look at three interesting events that took place, starting with the year 1653, where Oliver Cromwell becomes the Lord Protector, a turning point in English history. Whew. And then we will jump to 1773 with the Boston Tea Party, a revolutionary act that shaped the nation. And then 1944 with the Battle of the Bulge begins, a pivotal moment in World War II. All these events took place on this date of the 16th of December. But let's go now to the first event, 1653, where it's a very interesting story that took place where Oliver Cromwell becomes the Lord Protector, which is the turning point in English history. Yes, he's a key figure in the English Civil War. He assumed the title of Lord Protector of the Commonwealth of England, Scotland, and Ireland, effectively becoming the head of state. This pivotal moment marked a dramatic shift in England's governance as the nation transitioned from monarchy to republic under Cromwell's leadership. Cromwell's rise to power remains a subject of extensive historical debate, showcasing both his political acumen and the complexities of his era. The English Civil War was a watershed moment in British history. This took place from 1642 to 1651. Pitting the royalists, loyal to King Charles I, against the parliamentarians who sought greater accountability and constitutional reform. Oliver Cromwell emerged as a formidable military leader and political strategist during this turbulent period. His victories at key battles such as Marston Moor and Naseby solidified his reputation as a decisive figure in the parliamentarian cause. Following the execution of Charles I in 1649, England was declared a republic or commonwealth. However, the years that followed were fraught with political instability, factionalism, and economic challenges. And by 1653, Cromwell's leadership was widely regarded as the best hope for restoring order and unity. On this date, December 16, 1653, he accepted the title of Lord Protector, a role that granted him extensive executive powers while maintaining the Republican framework. As Lord Protector, Cromwell wielded authority akin to that of a monarch, but under a constitution known as the instrument of government. His administration focused on consolidating power, reforming the legal system, and promoting religious tolerance. And though his policies were often inconsistent, a devout Puritan, Cromwell sought to create a godly society, which included efforts to suppress practices he deemed immoral and to provide greater liberties for Protestant dissenters. Cromwell's foreign policy was equally ambitious. He strengthened England's naval power, leading to successes such as the Anglo-Dutch War and the establishment of the Western Design, which aimed to expand English influence in the Caribbean. Then, despite these achievements, his regime was criticized for its authoritarian tendencies and reliance on military rule. Oliver Cromwell's tenure as Lord Protector ended with his death in 1658, after which the Commonwealth rapidly unraveled. And by 1660, the monarchy was restored under Charles II, marking the end of England's experiment with republicanism. Yet Cromwell's legacy endures as one of the most polarizing figures in British history. To his supporters, Cromwell was a visionary who championed liberty, parliamentary sovereignty, and religious reform. To his detractors, he was a dictator whose regime betrayed the ideals of the English Revolution. His actions in Ireland, particularly the brutal sieges of Drogheda and Wexford, remained a source of contention and contribute to his mixed reputation. And today, Cromwell's impact is visible in the evolving relationship between the British monarchy and Parliament. His tenure as Lord Protector challenged traditional notions and sovereignty and laid the groundwork for future constitutional developments. Whether viewed as a hero or a tyrant, Cromwell's role in shaping the trajectory of the British history is undeniable. Whew, there you go. Now let's look at some more stuff here. This is going now to the Boston Tea Party, a revolutionary act that shaped the nation. 1773, when American colonists protesting against British taxation boarded ships in Boston Harbor and dumped chests of tea into the water, into what became known as the Boston Tea Party. Now, this bold act of defiance marked a turning point in the American colonies' struggle for independence and sent shockwaves across the Atlantic, challenging British authority and galvanizing a movement that would lead to the birth of a new nation. The Boston Tea Party was the culmination of years of growing tension between the American colonies and Great Britain. Following the costly French and Indian War, Britain sought to offset its debts by imposing taxes on its colonies, such as the Stamp Act and the Townshend Acts. Among these was the Tea Act of 1773, which granted the British East India Company a monopoly on tea sales and allowed it to undercut local merchants. And while the act lowered the price of tea, it underscored the principle of taxation without representation, fueling colonial resentment. Protest against the Tea Act was widespread, with colonists viewing it as another example of British overreach. The Sons of Liberty, a group of activists led by figures like Samuel Adams and John Hancock, orchestrated resistance in Boston, and their goal was to send a clear message to Britain. The colonies would not accept taxation imposed without their consent. On the evening of this date, December 16th, approximately 60 members of the Sons of Liberty, some disguised as Mohawk warriors to symbolize unity and defiance, boarded 3 ships docked in Boston Harbor: the Dartmouth, the Eleanor, and the Beaver. Over the course of 3 hours, they methodically broke open 342 chests of tea and dumped them into the frigid waters. The value of the destroyed tea was substantial, amounting to roughly 10,000 pounds, at the time equivalent to millions today. Witnessed by a crowd of onlookers, the Boston Tea Party was a carefully planned and executed protest. And despite its scale, the demonstrators avoided violence and assured no property beyond the tea was damaged. This act of rebellion captured the attention of the colonies and the British Crown alike, becoming a symbol of resistance and unity among the colonists. The immediate reaction to the Boston Tea Party was swift and severe. In retaliation, the British government enacted the Coercive Acts, also known as the Intolerable Acts, in 1774. These measures closed Boston Harbor, revoked the Massachusetts Charter, and allowed British officials accused of crimes to be tried in England, among other punitive steps. The Coercive Acts, intended to quell rebellion, instead galvanized colonial unity. The Boston Tea Party and its aftermath spurred the formation of the First Continental Congress, where representatives from the colonies convened to discuss their grievances and chart a path forward. This unprecedented unity laid the groundwork for the Declaration of Independence in 1776 and the eventual establishment of the United States. The Boston Tea Party remains a defining moment in American history, symbolizing the power of collective action and the fight for self-governance. Its legacy can be seen in the enduring importance placed on civic engagement and the principle that governments derive their legitimacy from the consent of the governed. Today, the event is commemorated as a pivotal step toward independence and is celebrated in popular culture, education, and even reenactments at Boston's historic harbor. It serves as a reminder of the courage and determination required to challenge injustice and stand for principles that shape a nation's identity. Now we go next to 1944. The Battle of the Bulge begins, a pivotal moment in World War II. Yes, one of the largest and most crucial battles of World War II, the Battle of the Bulge, commenced. And this surprise German offensive on the Western Front marked a desperate attempt to turn the tide of the war in Adolf Hitler's favor. The battle would go on to test the resolve of Allied forces after the trajectory of the war and leaving a lasting impact on military strategy and global history. As 1944 drew to a close, the Allied forces had achieved significant victories across Europe. Following the successful D-Day landings and the liberation of France, they were advancing toward Germany. However, Hitler devised a bold and risky plan to split the Allied lines, capture the strategic port of Antwerp, and force a negotiated peace. The Ardennes forest, a heavily wooded region deemed unlikely for an attack, was chosen as the staging ground. In the early hours on that date, 1944, December 16th, German forces launched a surprise assault involving over 200,000 troops, nearly 1,000 tanks, and extensive artillery. The attack initially overwhelmed the unprepared American units stationed in the Ardennes. The Germans advanced rapidly, creating a bulge in the Allied lines from which the battle derives its name. The Battle of the Bulge became the largest and bloodiest engagement for American forces during World War II, with over 19,000 U.S. soldiers killed and tens of thousands wounded or captured. And despite the staggering losses, the battle showcased the resilience and determination of the Allied forces. Key defensive stands, such as the Siege of Bastogne, where the 101st Airborne Division held firm despite being surrounded, became legendary. The battle also revealed cracks in the German war machine. While the initial offensive was formidable, it lacked the resources to sustain prolonged success. Fuel shortages, logistical challenges, and fierce Allied resistance stalled the German advance, ultimately leading to their retreat by late January 1945. The failure of the Battle of the Bulge was a significant blow to Germany's war effort, hastening the Allied advance into German territory and contributing to the eventual surrender of Nazi forces in May of 1945. It marked the final major German offensive of the war and underscored the importance of intelligence, preparation, and adaptability in military operations. The battle also had profound effects on the soldiers who fought in it and the nations that they represented. The heroism displayed by Allied troops during the brutal winter conditions reinforced the importance of unity and perseverance. Commemorations and memorials dedicated to the Battle of the Bulge continue to serve as reminders of the sacrifices made to preserve freedom. But today, the Battle of the Bulge stands as a testament to the resilience of Allied forces and the turning points that define the course of history. Its lessons in strategy, leadership, and the human cost of war remain relevant to military leaders and historians alike. The battle's enduring legacy reminds us of the fragility of peace and the collective effort required to maintain it. And there you have it, folks. 3 more current events from the stretch. We'll see you tomorrow for more of the current events of our lives on From the Stretch. Till then, I'm Jason DeCanio. Have a great day. Bye-bye.